Yeah, they're big.
Big branches up there, and that's that one you can't quite see the top, but it's broken off.
Yeah, and it's angled, not bent.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah.
About this tree is the two reiterations. I mean, it almost looks like it was chopped at first, and then another leader came out.
Oh yeah, it was broken.
And broken, and then it did it again.
And then damaged again in another storm. So I mean, you can see in this one past it, looking up. I work the trunk in thirds. I think of, and this is all this stuff I'm telling you today.
In thirds. Yeah, it's all
is general information.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so when I'm thinking about a tree, I'm thinking 1/3 trunk, 2/3 foliage, or 2/3 trunk, 1/3 foliage. Almost works better for flat top.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Generally, okay. I love. You had a great opportunity with David Groot. David Groot's a smart guy. He talks about comfortable to you and what's not comfortable to you.
Yeah.
And a tree has to be a balance of both. Some of it needs to be comfortable in what you expect. And then some of it, the artistic part, comes into attention. What you think, what's different about it? Why is that branch growing that way? All the other branches are growing. Any examples? I'm always pointing to twin top one.
So that's
don't really
like. It bothers you now.
That does bother me. They're too close to the same height.
Yeah.
I don't mind the twin tops,
as long as just drop it down.
Yeah. So this one really needs to probably come down to here.
Yeah.
Keep these two branches.
That's a very pretty base.
That one's got a really spectacular base, and it's
oh wow.
A little bit.
Yeah.
And you can see this is dying.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have enough. That's gonna die. Look, you've got a nice line here.
Yes.
You've got branches on the inside. You're only losing two branches when you go that route.
My original thought, well, I was going to go, like you said, just come from here and come down there, and then come back up here, and then
you could meet right there at that branch,
right
or
here.
You could go over it and come down. You could come down a little bit further.
Is this branch mission critical? We want to keep it?
I think we do.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to necessarily be at the bottom of the V. It could be, it could be one of the other. So it could be at the bottom of the V, and we just go from here to here and from here to here.
Yeah.
Okay. Or we could run it past, and we could go down a little further. I kind of like the idea of going past and run a little further.
Be generous with it. So we would take it from here. So we're going to keep this branch. Trying to visualize it. So we come around this side.
Yep.
And then run it down. Come to the side.
And this one, you could actually come closer and come down more like this. Okay.
Okay. So out of the gate, I'm trying to see what tool you got going on here.
I'm going to take a chalk, and I'm going to do up to about right there.
What's that tell me?
Well, just what we'll be taking.
Okay.
What will be, you know.
So we'll leave it. Now we're gonna get the bit. So we're gonna cut some more branches with the
All right.
short.
I'm
And
just
then,
gonna short.
okay, and we're gonna get the paddle bit, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Blue tape anyhow.
No shit.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, let's go. Have you ever come out the side? I'm nervous.
I mean, it's no big deal because we can incorporate it into the carving. It's never once been, I've done it 3 or 4 times. We got pretty close to that back side. It's not terribly thick back there. No, it's good. It's fine. I mean, we didn't go through it, so we're all right. So will you hold the tree?
Yeah.
I got some
I just think it's bananas that we're doing this. It's about to be August.
I want to really clean these edges, and the last thing we do after we wire this is we will come back and scrape these edges, cut these edges with a sharp knife.
To get it real,
And
yeah.
get a nice clean cut
Okay,
on
yeah.
the live edge.
Got it.
And then we'll put cut. This one was carved last year, so it was hollowed out last year. So we've got some branches
Yeah, okay, cool.
that we could work on, and
Sure.
that would be a pretty, that would
Sure.
be an easy one. That would be
Sure.
a quick one. We also talked about the shape of the tree. But at this point, we're just going to make this tree, we're going to give this tree a haircut, and then we're going to, prune it. So, Well, we're gonna prune it and then we're gonna defoliate it. But, so this branch is too long.
Too long.
You know, so I'm just gonna come back in here and I'm just gonna cut it.
Okay.
I don't know for sure I'm gonna keep that
Right.
yet.
We're just,
So
we're just reducing.
We're just reducing to make it easier
So let it rip.
to, yeah.
So we can make decisions.
Yeah.
So we want to be in that 3.5, 4.5.
Yeah. So, I wish the branches on this tree were a little bigger. They could be a little.
Though it could be a
Yeah,
big.
they could be a little more vigorous.
I should have brought my tree. We would have had plenty to work with.
So, and I'm gonna go ahead and take off.
Tim are similar. Just cut it. Just cut it.
Yeah.
Like,
So when I defoliate, I start at the base of the branch and I just pull out and all the leaves come off.
man, I'm definitely experienced with defoliation and then get back.
You know, I do it for a purpose. You know, a lot of people defoliate maples because the leaves come back smaller. That's not my purpose here.
No, it's
I'm
to see the
defoliating
tree.
so I can work on the tree, and I can see and I can make decisions and, you know, I don't really care much for bold cypress foliage. I would. Okay. So I've shown you how I build branches. You know, you start in close, and when you wire that, I chose not to wire this one, but if I would have wired it, I just would have been putting shape.
Bending
And it doesn't matter at this point what the shape is. Just put some movement in it, right? And then you're going to get more branches, and then you're going to put more movement in it, and it ends up giving you a more random kind of, you know, yeah, we can design this tree and we can make these perfect looking river-like branches, but
So don't put too much thought in like bending them down, bending them up. Just bend them.
Just put some movement in them.
That's
Try
huge.
to put some movement in them, you know, because you're only doing this much of the branch.
Yes, I
You
mean,
know, so it doesn't matter, you know.
Makes sense.
And really it needs to be exaggerated because that's gonna get bigger and thicker, and as it gets bigger and thicker, the curves look less.
yeah.
You know, so it may, with one side of the wire, and I'll come back with the other side and go out the same branch, but rather than going next to it, I split the difference. Okay, because why would I want to split the difference? Well, when I'm bending branches, and this is a small one, but when I'm bending, I always want wire on the back side of the bend. Keeps the branch from blowing out. So if you put all the wires together right next to each other, you'll see this better on some of these bigger branches. You know, supposedly that's stronger. Well, I don't believe that putting them together makes it stronger. Okay, but I do believe that if I split the difference between these, and I didn't do the greatest job.
Go in the same motion, or the same direction.
Same direction, but you split the difference rather than, let me see if I can, what can I use to
So you're talking about you basically do that for every branch?
no, just the ones that are isolated.
Okay. You know, that makes a lot of sense because I've seen some of your work online. I'm like, man, why does it seem like it's so much wire? And it's because of this technique.
So I use a lighter wire and then
Double up on it.
They would, normally they would tell you to wire it like this. You know?
Yeah. But you like to
You know,
split the difference. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, but what that does is that only gives me 1 point to bend against.
Yeah.
Okay, but if I split the difference
Then
and I go between them,
Well,
I double the number of
it's-
places I can bend.
It's almost like putting your branch in like a straw and being able to really kind of.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense.
Exactly. It doesn't affect the buds. You know,
No.
the buds will work around it.
Yeah, they will.
Okay, so it's not a big deal. And then I always want movement as close to the trunk as I can get it.
Yeah, look at that.
That movement close to the trunk is really important. Okay, and again, I told you, we're really this is really too long. It should be.
What, the actual branch?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
And so now I'll get branches from there. So here doesn't really matter. I just want to exaggerate it. And you're up, come over to the bottom.
That
Okay,
makes a lot of sense.
so just come over the top.
Okay.
All right. And support, it's a two-handed thing, so support right where my finger is, yeah. And you can pinch it if you need to pinch it, whatever you need to do. All right, beautiful, nice, perfect.
And I want to come around.
Now this one, yeah, bring it underneath, okay, and come up and follow the spiral and just split the difference.
That's genius. And then not only that, but you can be more confident on bending your branch.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let me see if I can
So here, let's just
cut that off. Okay.
now twist when you bend, okay? Twist with the twist of the wire, okay? So this one's wired this way. So what I want you to do, you want to watch this? What I want you to do is I don't want you to just bend it. I want you to twist and bend at the same time.
Makes a lot of sense.
Okay, that tightens the fibers all the way through. It doesn't put the stress on one point, and now you can you have that twist will keep you from snapping branches.
Okay.
Now cypress trees are pretty good about not snapping, so you can get pretty crazy.
So you're
going with tightening. You want to tighten that, and so now so now that's good. That's good.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So now exaggerate it just a little bit more.
Gotcha.
Okay? I always like the tip kind of coming out. Branches, most branches I generally like this. They come.
Hey, with the hose, you can really wash it off really well. Yeah, there you go.
And I will keep it in the shade until it buds out. Once it buds out, I'll move it. So like this goes into the shade house from here.
Yeah.
And once I get growth maybe a couple inches long,
Put it back out.
I'll move it into morning sun, and then I'll move it into afternoon sun. So I don't. We didn't do any root work, so I have put them straight out in the sun, and they bud out just fine. But I think it's better. I think I get better results if I shade them until
that makes
they bud.
sense. I'm gonna have to. I don't know. I don't have an option for that.
Yeah.
Maybe I do. I have a little corral. I need to figure one out. I need to figure one out.
Aftercare is really, really important.
Yeah.
You know, if your trees don't respond well to work and they slow down, you did a bad thing. You know, so. Pull it inside for right now.
Yeah.
And then I'll put it back on later. Marshall taught me that.
Really?
You know, he was. I started telling you this and I got distracted. So let me see if I can get through this one.
You want me to take these that aren't going to be branches off?
Yeah,
too?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's just take it all off. He came to Atlanta and did a convention in Atlanta, and he brought a bunch of stump bulb cypress trees like this. And he brought one that he'd been working on for 5 years. And I looked at that tree and I was just like, oh my God, 5 years, that's nothing in bonsai terms, you know?
Yeah.
And it was fabulous. It had these super great branches and very well ramified, thick branches. The trunk was beautiful. And so I said, you know, how does he do this, right? He says, well, I work them twice a year. He says, I defoliate them and work them in the summer, okay? And then I wire them in the winter. And I'm like, okay, cool. He says, I can even defoliate and repot in the summer. He says, once you defoliate, you can do anything you want to the tree. And I'm like, okay.
Even repot.
So, wonder what would happen if I tried to collect a tree in the summer. If they can handle defoliating and repotting in the summer, then surely they can handle collection.
Yeah.
And that's why.
Oh, really?
And see how the bark looks kind of tight over it? They're like that, even more so, even tighter than that.
Like they're busting out of there.
And not for their old branches and stuff, where there's a couple on that one. You know, you can see them. And so that's why I leave a little. Curved branches. This is crazy. I've never seen it before. You can see it's not usually but maybe a foot deeper.
Yeah.
Maybe 15 inches deep. It's usually this is just all water.
What pine is that again? No, that's the bald. Oh, it was.